in real time, there are some other testing techniques are there and the terminologies are there. So in real time, these 10 testing techniques are also very, very important. The first one in every organization at the time of interview or at the time of real time, they can perform smoke and sanity testing. So what is the difference between smoke testing and sanity testing? Smoke and sanity. So what is the smoke testing? Any organization, anytime they can ask these two questions. What is the difference between smoke testing and sanity testing? So first of all, smoke means whenever as a test engineer, first we can receive the initial build from the developer. We can check that the build is stable or not. The build is stable or not for further testing. In that, we can validate major or core functionalities with one valid data. In testing, there are two are there, positive and negative testing. Positive means always we are checking application with valid data. Negative means with invalid data. Okay, so like that. So first it is smoke means to check whether the application is stable or not. We are checking with one valid data. That type of testing is called as a smoke test. So it is performed initial build means first build. It is performed on initial build to check whether the build is stable or not for further testing. In this test, we validate major or core functionalities with valid data. That type of testing is called as smoke. So any interview asks difference between smoke and sanity. So these two are same. What is the difference between smoke testing and sanity testing? Sanity means it is also similar to the smoke testing. It is also similar to the smoke testing, but it is a subset of regression testing of smoke test. Means smoke test will be performed on initial build means first build. The first build given by the developers, that is called as initial build. In that if I am performing is called as a smoke testing. Sanity means it is performed on the modified build. Means suppose as a test engineer, I identified some defect. Immediately we are intimated to the developers. They can resolve the given the modified build. So whenever we can receive the modified build, that build is stable or not, we are checking. Before checking the errors are resolved or not, first we can check that modified build is stable or not, we are checking. That type of testing is called as sanity. So any interview, first they will ask difference between smoke and sanity. Smoke means initial build is stable or not. Sanity means the modified build is stable or not, we are checking. After that, we can go for retesting and regression. Suppose if build is unstable, it is not working properly. Simply we can suspend the test cases execution and we can reject build to the developers. So any organization first they can perform smoke. After modifications, we can perform sanity. After that, we go for is whether the bugs are resolved or not, we are checking. So sanity means it is also similar to smoke test. It is a subset of regression testing. It is performed on modified build to check whether the build is stable or not. So initial build is stable or not is called as a smoke testing. Modified build is stable or we're checking called as a sanity testing. Suppose if build is unstable. Suppose if build is unstable, then we suspend test cases execution and reject build to developers. So simply we can reject the build to the developer. Why? Because build is unstable. So I don't want to go for the further testing. Simply I reject build to the developers. For that rejected builds, developer they can release the patch files to the testing team. For the rejected build, developers will release patch files to testing team. So any organization first they call for smoke and sanity. After that, one of the very important question is interview point of view. What is the difference between retesting and regression testing? What is the difference between retesting and regression testing? See third one. Retesting. What is the retesting? Retesting means suppose in my hand I have 10 test 100 test cases are there. Okay, I am executed all the test cases on the build. So at the time of execution, as a test engineer, I can identify 70 test cases are passed, 30 test cases are failed. Failures are nothing but defects. So as a test engineer, I identified 30 defects in this build. So immediately what is my responsibility? I am intimated these defects to the developers. Immediately I can intimate these defects to the developers. So they can resolve it, they can give in the modified build. Once I receive the modified build, see, I can perform the build is stable. That is called as sanity. Okay, sanity is completed. What is retesting? Retesting means whenever I can receive the modified build here, modified build, I can execute all these 30 failure test cases on the modified build to check whether the bugs are resolved or not. That type of testing is called as retesting. Listen carefully. What is difference between retesting regression? In any interest must and they will ask the question. Retesting means we can execute failure test cases on modified build. Why? Because to check whether those defects are resolved or not by the developers. That type of testing is called as retesting concept. And one more definition is there for the retesting. What is that? Test the same functionality with multiple tested data. Means I am executing same functionality with multiple values. That is also called as retesting. Suppose I want to verify Gmail login with multiple user IDs, passwords. So every time we are checking login functionality only, but I need to pass multiple values. That is also called as retesting. And one more testing is there, fourth one. What is regression? These two differences compulsory they will ask any interview. What is the regression testing? So retesting means I'm executing failure test cases on modified build is called as a retesting. And what is regression means? Here I need to execute these passed test cases, 70 passed. Na? Those test cases I am executing on modified build. That type of testing is called as regression testing. Sir, already 70 passed. Why we go for execution means due to changes in the program, due to modifications, is there any effect, side impact on existing passed functionalities? That type of testing is called as regression. Carefully observe. Any interview they will ask retesting regression. Retesting means to check whether the bugs are resolved or not. That is called as a retesting concept. Regression means passed functionalities I'm executing in modified build. Why? Because by changing in the logic in application, Is there any impact or side effects on the modified build? That is called as regression testing.
They will not check failed cases, no, sir,
Where?
in regression testing.
No, that's why I'm telling now. Failed test cases I'm checking is called as
Checking,
retesting.
retesting,
Yes. Past functionality I'm checking, that is called as a regression testing.
regression testing. Okay. Fine.
Now I will write the theory part. So first, retesting definition. It is performed on modified build to check whether the bugs are resolved or not. Whereas we use failed test cases to perform execution on modified build. That type of testing is called as a retesting. So one more definition is there for the retesting. What is that? Whenever we are validating the same functionality with multiple sets of test data is also called as a retesting. When we validate same functionality with multiple sets of test data is also called as retesting. In automation, it is called as data-driven testing. So we can execute multiple values. Data-driven testing. That is about the first one, retesting concept. So the second one is regression. Regression means past functionalities I am checking to check is there any impact side effects. Okay, that is the regression. See regression testing. It is also performed on modified build to find any impact or side effects on existing past functionalities with respect to modifications. So due to changing the modifications, is there an impact is there on past functionalities? We are checking that type of testing is called as regression testing. Regression testing can be performed partially or completely. We can perform on application based on modifications. So in which situations we can go for the regression testing? So in two scenarios we are following this regression. So first situation, whenever bugs resolved in modified build, second situation, whenever new features are added in existing system, existing system based on CR. What is CR? CR means CR.
Don't know, sir.
We
Client requirement.
change request.
Client requirement. Oh shit. Okay.
Chain.
In SDLC, we discussed, suppose if any CR is there from the client, means if any new modifications, why we are giving the new modification? If client any request is there, then only we can change it. That is called as change request from the client. In these two situations, we can go for the regression testing. So in any interview, these four are must and should and important. The difference between smoke and sanity, and the difference between retesting and regression testing. These two are very, very important. Next, remaining all are based on the application, based on the organization, they can perform ranking. But these four must and should followed by any organization. Smoke, sanity, retesting, regression must and should followed by any organization. Remaining 8 are may or may not. So based on the company, based on the application, based on situation, they can follow it. So next one is ad hoc testing. Ad hoc testing. Next three are same to same, some similar. Ad hoc, exploratory testing. Next jumper. So first one, ad hoc. Ad hoc means suppose there is no requirements, there is no requirement document. Due to lack of any requirements, how to perform testing activities. Suppose this ad hoc testing is an informal testing activity. Why? Because there is no format. Suppose due to lack of requirements, test engineer use their past experience to validate an application. That type of testing is called as ad hoc. It is followed by some small companies, startup companies, those companies. Why? Because they are following some prototype model. In that prototype model, they can see the one application, based on that they can develop their application. So ad hoc is an informal testing activity. When we go for this ad hoc, due to lack of requirements, in this situation we go for ad hoc. That is the main thing. But it is an informal testing activity. Due to lack of requirements, test engineer use their past experience to validate an application. So that is the ad hoc. Means some only startup companies. That's what I'm telling. Remaining all are based on the organization, based on the standards they can follow. But first four are followed by any organization. Next one, exploratory. Exploratory means suppose I have experience in the testing, some 3 years, 4 years experience is there. But up to now, I am tested only healthcare domain applications, banking domain applications. But now in my organization, there is some new domain is there, means insurance domain, or it is a telecommunication, or it is some AS400 application. Then I am a test engineer, okay, but this is the new domain for me. So due to lack of domain knowledge, while learning application functionalities, we perform testing activities. That type of called as exploratory. Mean expanding means to get the application functionalities, we can perform the testing activities. then we can get one by one functionalities. So here the main purpose is due to lack of domain knowledge. Due to lack of domain knowledge, while learning the application functionalities, we are performing testing activity. Those type of testing is called as exploratory. Next, jump or monkey testing means, suppose there are 500 test cases are there. 500 test cases are there. To execute these 500 test cases as a test engineer, one test engineer, daily in real time we are able to execute only 40 to 50. So it will take 10 days time to execute all these test cases. 10 days time to execute all these test cases. Suppose client is urgent requirement. There is no this time of time. Only 2 days, 3 days time is there. At that time, I can execute only some of the test cases, means 200, 300. Why? Because which is very important to the customer business point of view, means due to lack of the time, we are validate major functionalities and application. In that case, we can execute the test cases based on priorities. So in 500, I can give the priorities. So what is very important to the customer urgent? P1 test cases. Suppose 150 is there. P2 test cases, priority 2. Here there is 100 test cases are there. Remaining P3. So I can execute first to these 150 and 100. I can give to the client. After that remaining test case I can execute. So priority wise I can execute. That's why it is called as a jump or monkey testing, and also called as priority based testing. Priority based testing. Why? Because due to lack of the time. So this is these three. One is due to lack of requirements. Second one is due to lack of domain knowledge. Third one is due to lack of the time. I can execute major or core functionalities, which is very very important to the client. First I can execute those. Later on I can execute remaining also. I don't want to skip anyone. Everything I can execute, but based on the priority I can execute. That's why it is called as a priority based testing. Due to lack of time, we validate major functionalities in application. In this case, we select test cases based on priority. Also called as priority based testing. That is called as ad hoc, exploratory, jump or monkey testing. After that, one more is there. L10N and I18N. First one is localization testing. Localization. Localization means, suppose verify one application supports all the domestic or local language or not within the one country. Suppose you can see, if I open Google in India, here it is displaying India. Here it will display all the local languages: Hindi, Bengali, Telugu, Marathi, Kannada, all the languages. But you can open the site into US, it will display only one language, English. You can open Google in South Africa, it will display 2 or 3 languages. In UK, it will display some 2 languages. Like that, based on the country, L10 localization means our application is supporting all the local languages or not. That is called as localization. Suppose you can see, if you open the SpiceJet application, any country, it will display only English. Here there is no client requirement. Client required only English language. So that's why it is displaying only English. Suppose you can go to my website, sirinibymahesh.com. You can open in South Africa, you can open in UK, you can open in India, you can open in Bangalore, anywhere. It will display only English. It is not displaying Hindi. But in case of Google, you can see if I'm clicking on Hindi, the language will be changes. If you click on Kannada, the language will be changes. Click on Telugu, as it is changing. So like that, this localization and internationalization is based on application. We can test it. Some application, these are applicable. Suppose in this my application, it is not applicable. Why? Because it supports only English language. It does not support any Telugu, Hindi, Kannada, Malayalam. So that is called as, first one is localization testing. Eighth one. Means verify application supports all the domestic or local languages or not. Within the country. This testing is also called as L10N shortcut. L10N testing. Second one is there. Internationalisation testing. Means verify when application supports international standards. Means date format, time format, currency format. Everything is different from country to country. So like that. Suppose you can see Gmail. Gmail supports different country languages. Suppose you can see Gmail. Here it will display different languages. English, United English, Dutch, Gitch, bold language. So many languages are there here. But if you go to SpiceJet, only here. But here in currency it will display multiple INR, AED, USD like that. But in my website it display only English. So like that, based on the type of application, based on the client requirement, we can test these type of testings, local and internationalization testing. Internationalization means in this test we verify application supports international languages, currency, date format, time, all these are we are testing. So here it is also called as I-18N testing. And one more testing is there, that is globalization. Means combination of L10N, I-18N. Combination of L10N and I-18N is called as globalization testing. That is G11N testing. Now my question is, some entries also they'll ask, localization, why it is a L10N, why it is a I-18N, why it is a G11N. Most of the guys, most of the trainers, they are telling,
Because in internationalization, 18 letters are there, sir.
yes. In localization, there are 8
10.
to N, 10 are there. Okay. Internationalization, I to N, how many are there?
18.
18 are there. In globalization, G to N, 11 are there.
11.
So, but most of the guys at them interviews are trainers also they're telling L10N means one application supports minimum 10 languages, that is called as L10N. If application support 18 languages, I-18, 11 language, G11, that is very wrong definition. That is only the letters between L to N, I to N, and G to N only. Suppose L10N, I18N means globalization means how many languages? 28. But how many are there? 11. That is the wrong definition. Only that is the letters between L to N, I to N, and G to N. Next one. 10th one. Mutation testing. Mutation means who will perform it? Up to now, all these are performed by the test engineers. But this mutation will be done by the developers. Why? Because once we are intimated defects to the developers, they can resolve and they are given modified build. They resolved and given modified build. So before giving application to the test engineer, first they can check it, yes, the bug is resolved or not. That type of testing called as mutation. Before releasing modified build to the test engineers, developers also, once they can check it, whether the bug is resolved or not, that type of testing is mutation. It is performed by the developers by changing logic in program. Developers will perform testing that is called as mutation testing. Finally, the last one is defect seeding or debugging. So already we discussed some of the coding testing activities. Debugging concept is there. Some of the activities already explained: coding, testing, defect reporting, debugging, bug fixing. Debugging means step-by-step execution of application to identify the defects. But here, what is defect seeding and what is debugging? Means, suppose there is one application is there is no defects. Some people they are coming for interview. People came for interview. So I can provide some known defects into that application. Some 4 or 5 defects I can provide, and I am given to the testers to identify the strength of the test engineers. That is called as defect seeding. Means providing known defects in the application to find strength of the testing is called as defect seeding or debugging. Means I can provide. Are they ready to identify or not? That type of testing called as defect seeding. Providing known defects in application to find strength of the test engineers. Defect seeding or debugging. These are all the some of the testing activities are there in real time. The very important one is difference between smoke and sanity testing, and one more is difference between retesting and regression testing. After that, based on the company, based on situation, sometimes we go for ad hoc, exploratory, jumper monkey. Based on the client requirement, I can go for this L10N, I18N, and G11N. Mutation is compulsory done by the developers. Defect seeding, it is done by at the time of entry point of view. They can use this technique, defect seeding and debugging. These are all the some of other testing techniques which are not related to black box, white box, and those techniques. So last chapter already we discussed testing levels. 6 levels are there: review on requirements, review on designing, unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and UAT. Those are some part. These 11 are different. At the time of real time, we are implementing these 11 testing techniques. After that, one more very important concept, very important thing is STLC in real time. This is a very important. This is the main important chapter. Up to now, all the definitions we have studied. So, what is STLC? Software testing life cycle. Software testing life cycle. SDLC describes software development life cycle. So in SDLC, testing is only one of the phase. So what are the phase in SDLC? Requirements, analysis, design, coding, testing, release, and maintenance. So testing is one of the important ways to deliver reliable application to the client. So in entire SDLC, we are performing most of the activities. 40% of activities we are performing. So what SDLC describes? It is a step-by-step process performed by the test engineers in order to validate proper application to the client. So this SDLC is very, very important to the tester. SDLC is important to the developers. So just today I'm giving only brief introduction, and how many phases I'm explaining, one by one phases later on we will discuss. So in SDLC, software development life cycle, testing is one of the important phase to deliver reliable application to the customer. So in entire SDLC, separate testing team will perform 40% activities in order to validate, develop application. So what STLC describes, software testing lifecycle describes systematic approach to validate an application based on client requirements and expectations. It describes a step-by-step process performed by separate testing team in order to validate an application. So what are the phases are there? In SDLC, some pages are there. Requirements, analysis, design, coding, testing, like that. So here also some pages are there. First one, test initiation, test planning, test case design, test execution, defect reporting, test closure. These are all the 6 pages of STLC. Once we complete these STLC pages, our manual testing is completed. But it will take some time. So each and every phase in detailed work is there. So what is going on? Test initiation will be done by test manager, not by the test engineer. Planning will be done by test lead. Test case designing will be done by test engineers. Test execution, yes, we are the responsible. Defect reporting, we are the responsible. Test closure, test lead again. So in all these, as a test engineer, very, very important is, these 3 are very, very important to the test engineer. That is, we will discuss in the next tomorrow's class. First I go for test initiation, 1 class test planning, test case designing, execution defining, it will take 4 classes, test closure. Once we complete this SDLC, all the pages, or manual testing 95% was completed. So that is about the STLC phases.